Another episode of Bilderberg Music Group Squeeze is Watching Podcast, and I'm your host, Forever B. And today we'll be discussing the latest incident involving Dame Dash. The music mogul is reportedly opening a bowling alley and event venue called Dusky Strikes, and everyone is kind of buzzing about it. It's a lot of different mixed comments throughout the social media. I do hope everyone is doing well today. I ask that you all continue to stay at peace. I do hope you all enjoy this episode. And the fact that Dame Dash is stepping out in some form and creating his own lane shows us a lot about who Dame Dash really is. Because we know understand that Dame Dash has been getting a lot of backlash, and Dame Dash is somewhat find himself to be the butt of the joke or the butt of a condition when you look at a lot of the scrutiny and a lot of the people who talk down on Dame Dash and about his achievements and things that he even strived to accomplish. One thing that I do know for sure and for certain, since the times I have seen Dame Dash myself, I would definitely say that Dame Dash is for surely a leader. And he has no problem stepping out of his own lane and striving to be the said person of his own foundation. And for whatever reason, he catches a lot of backlash. But when I go back and I look at his resume and all of the artists and people that he have put in positions and the things that he have did for us, how he stand up for his artists and how he's so vocal about their stance and him wanting to see them achieve things, I would have to say that Dame Dash showed the abilities of being a stand-up guy. Because most individuals inside the music industry, when we do understand the music industry, a lot of that is cutthroat. Or you hear a lot of artists speak about being indebted and how they have to find themselves doing other things inside the music industry or etc. just to try to maintain their brands and maintain their position. However, when you go back and you start looking at the artists that Dame is responsible for, a lot of those artists that he's responsible for, you will see that Dame was striving to give them game and he was striving to teach them certain parts of the business, opposed to a lot of the individuals in that position and how they try to misuse the artists and how a lot of them find themselves financially being screwed by these record companies and not really able to achieve a whole lot of things throughout their careers. And when you go back and look at individuals, for instance, like LL Cool J, who I think, to my understanding, had to do 12 albums with Def Jam in order for him to be able to eventually break away from his contract and do other things that he wanted to achieve inside of the music industry. So in some aspects, you have those companies out there and some who would throw you up under the bus, so to speak, and put you under certain contracts that make it very difficult for you to later be able to come out and possibly be able to expand your career due to the fact that you find yourself stuck into a contract or some type of agreement, and the very owners of these labels are now stagnating, or someone will even hold you back from trying to achieve certain things because of certain greeds and certain powers and certain respects that these so-called executives or these higher men inside of these organizations try to deal with their artists. Even when we go back and we hear stories about Craig Mack, who also was up under Bad Boys along with Puff Daddy, we hear it was years, even before Craig Mack went back to the essence, meaning that, once he was deceased and he went back in that respect, that he still was negotiating with Puffy and striving to do everything he could to get rights back over his music. And to my understanding, Puffy wouldn't allow him to get it, and Craig Mack ended up dying, peace be upon him, without being able to receive some of his royalties or certain rights back over his music. That is a sad thing to say the least when you're an artist that put your brand and your time and all your talents into a thing. And when it's time for you to try to come back and maybe try to see if you can consult with the individuals that you did the business with, thinking that they might come in and try to help you continuously to have some type of control over your own career, you find some of these executives and some of these owners who will keep these brothers and sisters in bad contracts where they basically have control over them and how they continue to evolve themselves inside their career. However, when we're looking at Dame Dash and this move right here, I think this is a great move for him. People inside of the social medias and things of that nature, some of them are still saying, Dame Dash is broke. He's up to one of his old stunts. And then you have some people who respect Dame in his aspects of his hustle and him still having the ability to still try to go out and create things, not only for himself but for his family, right? what we do know and understand, and also Dame Dash is very intelligent when it comes down to doing business and etc. So when we hear people speak about, Dame filing for bankruptcy and things of this nature, we have to keep in mind that most of the billionaires and those who are in them higher positions, not saying that Dame was a billionaire, what I'm saying is those that's in a higher echelon will be living in a certain status quo. Most of them eventually reach a point where they file bankruptcy and utilize that, if you want to say, loophole or that outlet in order to be able to get certain things off of the book so they can have full ownership over some of these properties and some of these assets that they're scrambling to, accumulate. So sometimes some of these artists should do these things for the means of striving to free up themselves to be able to move into other certain aspects of business. So we can't always take the propaganda and the theories or the notions of what we think something might be until we go back and do the full knowledge to certain things in life so we can get a better understanding. That's why for those who know, and I don't follow Dame Dash as so well, but I have heard him speak about the family business. And when he's speaking about the family business, we all know in some aspect for those who deal in the aspects of financial literacy and etc. He's speaking about a trust, right? And being able to now show where his family's worth and his family's estate is protected. And that's what you want as a owner or as a person who's striving to eventually have something you can call your own. Because for most of y'all who don't know, this country in itself is indebted. So a lot of the things that we receive is our own you. And also a lot of the IOUs allow you to stay indebted because you can't truly or fully own anything in America if you're still paying taxes on it. Right? So when you clear yourself from taxes, then you do have full ownerships over a thing. Right? So I think that's also something we need to keep in mind. I do like the fact that Dame is getting described to venture himself to do other things, to my understanding, as well as this bowling alley. Supposed to have space for events, as well as stages, for performances. So obviously you're going to try to bring some people in to do certain types, maybe concerts, at least, do some type of entertainment events inside this area as well. Already had the photo booths and etc. So I think this may be something that he can achieve some type of greatness from, or at least be able to try to accumulate some type of wealth or revenue base to be able to take care of his family. And I don't understand why people think that we all have to be and have hundreds of millions of dollars in order for us to be successful. I understand that knowledge and wisdom is always going to be far greater than silver and gold. Even though it may appear that the silver and gold has more value, when you understand that the know-how comes from knowledge, that is the greatest wealth and riches that you could ever have, because by having knowledge which is infinite will always open up doors for you to have the infinite opportunity to also be able to see the silvers and the gold. How you all feel about Dame Dash's next move and venture that he's now putting together? I ask that you all leave your comments in the comment section. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, I ask that you all do. I do thank you for tuning in to this podcast. This is another episode of Screeches Watching, and I do ask and seek that you all continue to remain at peace, continue to keep love in your heart, and continue to strive for excellence through all. I send my love and peace out to you. I'm your host, Forever B. Until next time, family, peace and love.